I worked double shifts and lived cheap to finally own a house. Holding the keys felt unreal, until my family decided my biggest achievement was something they could use. I could still smell the fresh paint and see the tags hanging off the new blinds. And yet, I kept holding the keys like they might dissolve if I blinked too long. After years of doing everything the hard way, this was the first thing in my life that felt like it was mine. Not rented, not borrowed, not something I had to ask permission to use. Mine. It did not happen overnight. I worked double shifts at a packaging plant through my early 20s, ate bulk rice and canned beans to save every dollar, and kept my head down while my friends went on trips or bought new cars. While they were out drinking on weekends, I was watching DIY videos, learning how to wire a breaker box or fix a leaky faucet. I knew someday I would need those skills. I passed on promotions when they meant I had to spend more and save less. I slept in a studio apartment with cracked tile and a front door that barely locked. I drove a 10-year-old Chevy that wheezed every time I turned the ignition. I made choices nobody clapped for, quiet, steady sacrifices that added up like bricks laid one by one. And finally, after all that, the house was mine. It was not big. 2 bedrooms, a crooked porch light, and a patchy lawn I planned to reseed come spring. But it was solid. Inspected. Paid for with my money. No cosigners. No help. No strings attached. Just me, my name on the deed, and the soft creak of real wood floors under my boots. I remember sitting on an overturned bucket in the empty living room, listening to the echo of my own breath. I did not cry, but it was close. All I could think was, this is what it feels like to finally have something nobody can take from you. Or so I thought. When I called my mom to tell her the good news, she was surprised, maybe even proud, for a second. Her voice wobbled, and she said, "You did it all by yourself, huh?" I said, "Yeah, every bit." There was a pause after that. Just a few seconds of silence, but it stuck out like a crack in glass. Then came the questions. Is it in a safe area? What are you going to do with the extra room? Do you think maybe your cousin Tanya could stay with you for a bit? She's going through it right now. I laughed it off, said I had not even finished unpacking yet. But something shifted in that moment, like I had lit a beacon instead of just buying a house. Suddenly, I was not just the guy who made it. I was the guy with a place, the guy with space, the guy they could lean on. And I had no clue that first phone call was the start of something I would spend months trying to undo. Something that would test everything I thought I had earned. The first week after I moved in, I was floating. Waking up early, sipping cheap coffee on my back steps, watching birds bounce around the fence like I was suddenly part of the world in a way I had never been before. I scrubbed the cabinets, lined the drawers, labeled breaker switches like I was prepping for a test no one else was taking. It felt good. Better than good. It felt earned. And then the calls started. Not just from my mom anymore. My Aunt Sharon called just to check in. She asked what kind of heating the house had, and whether I had space for her son, Jordan, who was going through a bit of a reset. My cousin Ray messaged me out of nowhere, had not talked to the guy in years, and suddenly he was saying how proud he was of me, how inspiring it was that I had bought a house on my own. I felt a little warm hearing that, I admit it. Then he asked if I had a garage he could use to store some tools real quick. Then Tanya, the cousin my mom mentioned, called herself. I picked up because I felt guilty ignoring her. She said she just needed somewhere quiet to regroup for a few weeks. Said she would cook, clean, keep to herself. Just until I figure things out, she said. It was always that line. Just until. I had barely unrolled a rug in the guest room before my life started feeling like a storage unit with a roof. At first, I tried to be gentle. I said I had not even settled in yet. I made excuses, told them I did not have spare furniture, that the place still smelled like paint. But somehow, every polite no was met with a heavier yes waiting on the other side. You've always been the responsible one. You're so lucky you don't have kids to worry about. It's not like you're using all that space. I started hearing the same sentence in different mouths. Must be nice to have your own place. But the way they said it, it was not admiration. It was envy dipped in suggestion. Like the house was not something I earned, but something I owed. To them. They had been absent while I was grinding through night shifts and learning plumbing from YouTube. They had laughed when I turned down trips, called me cheap when I said I was saving. But now I was the guy with the extra room. The spare key. The blessing. The guilt came in fast. Family was family, right? I kept telling myself that. But each ask came a little quicker. A little bolder. And every time I said no, it felt like I was the one letting someone down, even though I was the only one who had done the work. I started to wonder, was this how it was going to be now? Was my house, the one thing that finally felt like mine, just going to turn into another place where I had to explain myself? I did not have the answer yet, but I had a feeling it was coming. And when it did, it would not be pretty. It did not happen all at once. That is how they get you. Not with one big ask, but a slow build-up of little ones that do not seem like much, until you realize you have no room left to say no. It started with Tanya. I caved, told myself it was temporary. A few weeks, just until she found something else. She showed up with 3 garbage bags of clothes, 2 boxes of old shoes, and a cat she never mentioned. She said she was grateful, said I saved her, and maybe she believed it for a few days. But gratitude has an expiration date. It disappears when people get comfortable. By the 2nd week, she was asking me to spot her for groceries. I'll pay you back Friday. That Friday turned into next Friday, then the one after that. I was still unpacking boxes, still trying to build something for myself. And here I was, stepping over someone else's clutter to get to my own bathroom. I thought, maybe this is just one bump. Maybe once she gets back on her feet, she will move out, and things will go back to normal. Then my uncle called, said he heard I had a spare room situation, and was wondering if I had space for a week. Said he had some work drama, and needed to be somewhere quiet to figure things out. I told him Tanya was already staying. He said, well, what's one more person if you already got someone there? And that was the moment I started to feel it, the shift. Like I was not a person anymore. Not a nephew. Not a cousin. I was a service. A place. A resource. Every time someone called me now, it came with a hidden motive. And when I stopped picking up, they went to my mom. She started calling more, asking questions that did not sound like questions. Have you thought about letting Ray stay in the garage for a while? He's got some tools, just needs a place to work. He said he would pay you rent. Rent. That was rich. The same guy who once took $300 from me and vanished for a year, now wanted me to believe he was going to mail me checks? It was like they had all rewritten my story. In their version, I had made it. I had space. I had money. I had no wife, no kids, no obligations, so of course, I was the one who should help. Over and over. No matter what. They saw the house as a thing we all owned. But it did not feel like mine anymore. Not with the noise, the guilt, the half-washed dishes, and the missing leftovers. The cat that pissed on my welcome mat. The way Tanya rolled her eyes when I asked her to wipe down the stove. They acted like I was being uptight, controlling, like I forgot what it meant to be family. But I had not forgotten. I just remembered it differently. And the worst part? I started to think maybe I was the one out of line. Until the next knock on my door changed everything. It was a Sunday, late morning. I had just finished patching a hole in the drywall Tanya's cat had clawed through, because apparently that was my problem now too. I was covered in dust, listening to a podcast, trying to hold on to some sense of normal. Then came the knock. Not the usual light tap or doorbell ring. This one was heavy, the kind that makes your stomach twist before you even look through the peephole. It was Ray. He stood there with his duffel bag slung over one shoulder and a half-smile that screamed assumption. I figured you'd say yes if I just came by, he said. No hello. No explanation. Just that. I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to slam the door. Another part, the one that had been trained to be polite, to not cause drama, froze. I told him I had not agreed to anything. He brushed past it. Tanya said it was cool. I looked at Tanya, sitting on the couch in my living room like she was paying rent. She shrugged. I thought you were okay with it, she said. You said you wanted to help people get on their feet. No, I said I wanted to build something. I never said I was running a halfway house for grown adults with bad credit and worse boundaries. But Ray was already inside, dropping his bag in the hallway like it was his name on the deed. That night, he drank 2 of my beers and asked if I had Wi-Fi. The next morning, he was using my coffee and my bathroom and left his socks on the kitchen table. No apology. No offer to clean up. No mention of how long he planned to stay. The house that once felt like a quiet reward now felt like a trap I had built around myself. I tried to set boundaries. Said the guest room was not available. He said he would sleep on the couch. I said I wanted my space back. Tanya said I was acting different lately. They were right. I was acting different. Because I was waking up in a house full of people I did not invite, paying the bills for 3 adults, tiptoeing around my own kitchen, and watching my thermostat get adjusted without asking. I started locking my bedroom door at night. That was not normal. Not in my own home. I noticed little things. Snacks missing. Lights left on. My toothbrush out of place. One day I came home and found Ray's friend, some guy I had never seen before, sitting in my backyard smoking like he lived there. When I told him to leave, Ray acted like I was overreacting. Said he's chill. He's just crashing for a bit. That was the moment I realized the truth. They did not see this house as mine anymore. They saw it as ours. But I never gave them that right. And once you give away ownership of something you bled for, getting it back is not as simple as changing a lock. Not when the damage has already moved in. It was not just the noise or the mess. It was the way they started acting like I was the one out of line. Ray told me to chill out when I asked him to take his muddy shoes off inside. Tanya rolled her eyes when I asked her to wash her dishes before they stacked into a science project in the sink. And now this new guy, Marlon, apparently, was sleeping on my living room floor like it was a youth hostel. I came home from work one day and found my utility bill opened on the kitchen counter. Someone had highlighted a number and written, "Damn," next to it. Like I was supposed to apologize for the cost of keeping my own house running while 3 freeloaders ran up the heat and left lights on all day. But the final straw came when I overheard them talking in the backyard. I had just gotten home, keys still in hand, when I caught the tail end of the conversation through the open window. Ray was saying something about converting the garage. Tanya laughed and said, "Yeah, once Mike chills out, maybe he'll finally let us do it." Let us do it. That line hit me so hard I forgot to open the door. I stood there, frozen on the steps, trying to process what I had just heard. They were planning around me. Planning what to do with my property like I was a landlord who never showed up. Like I did not live here. Like I did not matter. I finally went inside, quiet, numb. Ray was on the couch, flipping through channels like it was his Saturday. He asked if I could grab more trash bags next time I was out. Said they were out of paper towels, too. I stared at him. I mean really stared. He never looked up. And it clicked. They did not respect me. Not even a little. Not the house. Not what I built. Not the years I spent earning it. Because in their minds, I did not earn it. I just had it. To them, I was the lucky one. The one without kids, without obligations, without debt. And luck? Well, luck was meant to be shared, right? That night, I sat in my locked bedroom, staring at the ceiling fans spinning above me, and I knew something had to change. But I also knew this. If I asked them to leave, they would not go quietly. Not when they had already started making plans for a future that did not include me. I did not sleep much that night, but I did make a plan. The next morning, I was up before the sun. I left the house without saying a word, just grabbed my keys and drove. Not to work, not to clear my head. I went straight to a hardware store and bought 2 things, a security camera system and a deadbolt. Not for the front door, for my bedroom. It felt surreal, walking out with those boxes like I was shopping for peace instead of tools. When I got back, Marlon was in his boxers, eating cereal in my chair, watching a show on my streaming account like it was his name in the login. Tanya was complaining about her allergies and asking if I could pick up oat milk next time I ran errands. Ray was in the bathroom blasting music through a Bluetooth speaker like it was his personal concert hall. I said nothing, just nodded, walked past them all, and started drilling the new lock into my bedroom door. Ray passed by, squinted at the noise, and said, "Dude, what's with the Fort Knox energy?" I said, without looking up, just setting some boundaries. He laughed. Tanya mumbled something about me being paranoid. Marlon asked if I could turn the volume down when I got a chance. Later that night, I sent them a group text. "You have 1 week to find other arrangements. I am not discussing it. I am not debating it. 7 days. That is it." Ray stormed into my room 30 seconds later. No knock. Just fury. "You're seriously kicking us out? After everything we've been through?" I kept my voice calm. "What you've been through is not what I've built. You're living in something I created without lifting a finger." He tried the guilt angle. "We're family, man." "No," I said. "We're adults. Adults who made different choices. And now I am choosing this house over your comfort." He left, slamming the door behind him. The next day, I came home to a pile of my mail opened on the kitchen table. A few things were missing. Nothing major, but it was enough to make my hands shake. I checked my room. Everything was intact. The new lock held. They knew they were losing control. And control was the only thing that made them feel entitled. Tanya gave me the silent treatment, but not the peaceful kind. The kind where every cabinet in the kitchen slammed louder than usual, where the music stayed on just a little longer, where my leftovers started disappearing again. On day 5, I found Marlon trying to change the Wi-Fi password to speed things up. I told him to pack his stuff and leave that afternoon. He did, but not without calling me selfish under his breath. By day 6, Tanya was sick, wrapped in a blanket on the couch, claiming she was too weak to pack. Ray said it was heartless to push someone out in that condition. But I held firm. No more guilt. No more bending. I started counting down the hours. Because something strange was happening inside me. I was not just reclaiming my house. I was reclaiming myself. And that terrified them. Day 7 came with silence. The kind that hangs heavy in the air, thick with resentment. Tanya sat curled on the couch like a statue, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the blank TV screen. Ray stood in the kitchen, drinking my coffee, tapping his phone like he was too busy to notice time had run out. Neither of them had packed a single thing. So I gave them until noon. I said it like a statement, not a threat. You both need to be out by 12. I'll be changing the locks at 1. Ray laughed. A short, sharp thing that held zero humor. You're really doing this? I am. You're just gonna throw your own family out? No. I'm telling 2 adults who disrespected my home, ignored every boundary, and never paid a cent in rent that they are done taking advantage of me. Tanya stood up then. Her voice cracked. I had nowhere else to go. I looked her in the eyes. And I gave you time. 7 days you used to pretend this wasn't happening. Ray slammed his mug on the counter. We had a plan, Mike. No, I said. You had a fantasy. One where I stayed quiet while you carved out a life inside something I bled to build. I walked to the front door and opened it. You got 2 hours. Then I left. I sat in my car across the street and waited. Not to babysit, just to make sure they knew I was serious. That there was no changing my mind this time. At 11:43, they came out. 3 garbage bags. A suitcase. The same cat in the same crate, still meowing like it had not just lived rent-free for over a month. Ray threw one last glare over his shoulder. You changed, man. I said good. They walked off without another word. No apology. No thanks. Just bitter silence. And for the first time in weeks, I stepped back into a quiet house. No open cabinets. No blaring music. No smell of takeout I never ordered. Just the sound of my own breathing. I walked from room to room, touching walls, flicking lights, checking doors like I was moving in all over again. Then I sat on the couch. Mine again. Fully mine. But as I stared at the spot where Tanya used to lay her blanket, I felt something unexpected. Not guilt. Not sadness. Relief. Because deep down, I finally understood something. They never saw the house as mine because they never saw me as someone who could own it. In their eyes, I was the helper. The backup plan. The one who never said no. Until now. And they had no idea what to do with that. A few days passed. I thought that would be the end of it. But guilt has a funny way of boomeranging. Except it was not mine this time. It started with the texts. First from my mom. Mike, I heard what happened. Tanya's really upset. Couldn't you have handled it with more compassion? Then Ray. Hope you're happy. You broke up the family over a house. Then Tanya herself. I never thought you'd turn your back on me like that. I had no choice. You knew I was struggling. They all had something to say. None of it sounded like accountability. What they did not know was I had started documenting everything the week before. Every expense, every unopened bill, every time I had to restock food I never ate. I was not planning to sue or press charges, but part of me wanted the record. Something to remind myself that I was not crazy, that this happened, that it was real. Because when people feel entitled to what you have, they will spin the story to make you the villain. And sure enough, the story had already changed. According to family group chat gossip, I had gone cold. Shut everyone out. Got big-headed after buying a house. They said I thought I was better than everyone else now. Nobody mentioned how many favors came before the final no. Nobody talked about the jobs I worked, the nights I came home dead tired, the friends I lost touch with because I could not afford to go out. Nobody remembered all the times I helped, because helping had become invisible, expected, a habit they relied on like oxygen. And when I finally broke that habit, it was like I had betrayed them. But I did not feel guilty anymore. Not even when my mom called, voice trembling, saying she wished things had gone differently. That family should be stronger than this. I told her something I had never said before. Family does not mean I let people walk over me just because they know my name. She went quiet. Then she said, I guess I never realized how much you kept to yourself all these years. I told her it was because no one ever listened. And that was the truth. I had been silent for so long. I forgot I was allowed to speak up. Now that I had, I was not giving that voice back. About a week later, I got a knock at the door. It was late, past 10. The kind of hour where nothing good shows up unless it is on fire or bleeding. I peeked through the peephole. It was Tanya. She was standing there, hoodie pulled tight, arms crossed, eyes puffy. No suitcase. No cat. Just her, and this look, somewhere between desperate and ashamed. I opened the door just a few inches. She did not say hello. She said, I do not have anywhere else to go. I did not answer. I just let the silence sit. Then she said it again, softer. Just a few days, Mike. I swear. Just until I get my next paycheck. I could feel something rising in me. Not anger, not even pity. Just this hard clarity. I asked her one question. Do you know why I bought this house? She blinked. What? I bought this house, I said. Because I needed something in my life that could not be taken. Something I earned. Something that was mine. She shifted her weight. I never meant to ruin that for you. But you did, I said. You all did. Bit by bit. Until it felt like I was living in someone else's idea of my life. Her lip trembled. So that's it. I locked the door every night, I said. But the truth is, the real damage was already done. Not to the house, to me. I opened the door a little wider, not to let her in, but to show her something. I pointed to the hallway behind me. See that spot on the floor? That dent. That's where your cat knocked over the lamp. I never fixed it. She looked confused. That dent, I said, is the first mark this place stopped being mine. And I let it happen. I let a lot of things happen. She looked down, quiet. I said, Tanya, I hope you figure it out. I really do. But you're not coming back in. Her eyes widened like she could not believe it. Like she thought maybe showing up in person would magically reset everything. You're seriously leaving me out here? I am not leaving you, I said. You left the moment you stopped treating what I built with respect. She stepped back, looked around like she might find a witness. Someone to confirm that I was the bad guy. But there was no one. Just her. And me. And the house I fought like hell to own. Then I closed the door. Locked it. And for the first time since I bought this place, it felt like home again. Not because it was clean. Not because it was quiet. But because I chose who came through that door. And who did not. The days after I closed that door were quiet. Not just in sound, but in spirit. No more late-night stomping. No more lights left on in rooms I never entered. No more vague guilt texts or secondhand drama from my mom. Just me, my walls, and the stillness I used to beg for. At first, it felt almost too quiet. Like I had to learn how to live here all over again. The silence was not peaceful, it was awkward. Like walking into a room you used to love, but barely recognize. But little by little, I started reclaiming the space. I repainted the guest room. Not because it needed it, but because I wanted to. I picked the color myself, something calm. Something that reminded me I had control. I changed the locks. All of them. Not out of fear, but out of finality. I went grocery shopping and only bought things I liked. No oat milk. No weird frozen vegan meals Tanya used to stuff into the freezer and never eat. I even adopted a dog, something I had been putting off for years. His name is Bricks. Rescued, scrappy, loyal. Follows me from room to room like he is guarding something sacred. And in a way, he is. He is guarding the quiet I bled for. You know what I realized? Ownership does not just mean your name is on a piece of paper. It means you defend what you build. It means you say no, even when it hurts. It means you understand that boundaries are not walls, they are gates. You decide when they open. And when they stay shut. Family will guilt you. Friends will pressure you. The world will call you selfish for drawing the line. But I am telling you, protecting what is yours is not selfish. It is survival. Because if you give too much for too long, people stop seeing your generosity as a gift. They start seeing it as inventory. And one day, you will wake up in a house full of people who feel entitled to your air and blame you when the oxygen runs out. So now I breathe easy. Every door that opens in this house opens because I choose it to. Every inch of floor, every patched wall, every creak in the wood. Mine. Not inherited. Not granted. Not shared. Earned. And that, right there, is the one thing no one will ever take again. Not while I am still here to answer the door.